Hey there, traders. We're back for the market recap for Monday, March 10. You see it's kind of late, almost 10 p.m. So I'm going to try to go through this pretty quickly. So they got to the zone. This is the zone derived from some longer term data, weekly chart in particular. And they got below, they even filled the gap down here, spiked, got way out of this area here, around whatever the low was, 560.58 was the official low, and got out of there. And they closed right below the bottom of this zone, at least the zone that I identified. But this whole area could be a place that they're going to bounce from. I put a line at the low of today, and if we see price get a daily close below this low, then perhaps that bullish thing could be put on hold for the time being. But it's very possible for them to bounce from this area where they're at. They've come down a little bit. Maybe we go to an hourly chart and look at the after hours data. They've come down here, so currently they're around 558, 55 or so. They've been a little lower, but I'm just going to say now here at 10 p.m. almost the night before that I would not be surprised if we wake up to a gap higher tomorrow. No guarantees. They could go lower, of course. Anything can happen, but if they go lower, then something else is going on. The higher likelihood is that they're going to bounce from this area. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that right now. I cannot be 100% sure anything is going to happen. Maybe an 80 to 90% chance they'll bounce and go higher from where they are, and we'll find out tomorrow morning. This morning, before the opening bell, these were the levels and the game plan that was sent out. I talked again about giving these levels more wiggle room because of the increased volatility. Pretty likely that was going to happen today, and it did. Another 130 points or so from high to low, somewhere in that range. Here's a screenshot of what the SPY looked like in the morning with the levels in this zone down here. And here's a 1-minute chart of the entire day. So let's talk about, if you're playing by the rules, what you would have done. Given the market 15 minutes to settle in, they were up here somewhere, coming down into this level, 567.50. They bounced. I'm not going to adjust these levels with a 5-cent buffer. Just know that that's what you would have done. This would have worked. You would have bought at 567.55, bounced for more than 4 points there. That's base hit number one. They came down into 564.15. If you bought at 564.20, there's a bounce there. They got down here to a low of 564.31. It's not close enough for a near miss, so this is perfectly valid for trade number two. They got below this level and came down to the top of the zone at 563. They got pretty close. I don't typically adjust the levels in a zone, so I would have left this alone at 563. The low was 563.06, 6 pennies away. Would have missed this trade. I mean, if you used some wiggle room and got in early, you could have got it, but they did it again. We're going to go ahead and count this trade, a long trade at this top of the zone, because zone was important. And I said in the morning that wiggle room would have been needed to get into these trades. Give yourself a little bit of leeway on either side of the level. And by the way, no more long trades or short trades for that matter at this level. From 12:16 p.m. to 12:31 p.m., not quite enough time. I like to see more time, 20 minutes or more, before I'm willing to take a recycle trade, like a short trade on this side. This would have worked, but we're not going to count this trade. So meanwhile, they've bounced off this level. You got to trade there. They're coming down into 561, pretty close. The low was 561.10. Would you have had enough wiggle room here to buy 10 cents above this level? Or even if you adjusted it at 561.05, you would have missed it. I'm not going to count this one. This technically was your near miss, 10 pennies away. And had you bought here, you would have gotten your 4 points in the E-minis. They got to a high of 561.43. So with E-minis, that was slightly over 4 points. And they did it again later. Here's a spike here. Would have worked. We're not going to count this because of the near miss there. And then they got under this level, and they got back up into it well after 20 minutes later. And if you had gone short, just enough time, by the way. So notice the time it's 3:28 before the cutoff. The cutoff is 3:30 p.m. Eastern, within 30 minutes of the closing bell. So if you'd gone short here at 561, you would have been rewarded with another base hit. That was 5 base hits on the levels today, playing by the rules. I don't know if you noticed in the game plan that we just looked at, the email that was sent out, I mentioned that while I did not have any morning meetings, there were other things I was going to be busy on. Wasn't sure if I could concentrate on some trades, but I'm going to go ahead and play this and show you that I did take one trade. And after they got above this level, after the 15-minute window here, which is right here, I decided I don't think I want to take this level. I don't want to trade on the long side if they come back down. But if they get underneath it, I'll go short, because I still had a pretty good feeling they were going to go lower down to that zone. So let them get underneath it. That's why this level is now dotted. I made this, or dashed, or whatever you want to call it. Didn't trade it on the long side. They got underneath it. You'll see me sell 2 contracts when they came back up into it right there. I went short. And by the way, you'll see this base hit. So this, what's happening now is where you would have had a base hit had you gone long per the rules. We've already talked about that. There's your 4 points at least. But I withstood that and just let them come down and got 12 points pretty quickly, about maybe 6 minutes or so. And I kept an eye on the market, making the decision, trying to decide if I wanted to do anything else. And after a few minutes, I just made every level dotted. That's my indication. I'm not going to do anything else. Let this go. Just recorded it just for fun until right before lunch or so, quarter till 12, at which point I stopped the recording and went out and had some lunch. So I'll take $1,200 in 6 minutes. I don't need to trade anything else after that. And we've already talked about what they did for the rest of the day, and I just didn't have the recording after this point. And now over to the tracking logs, the PBR output played by the rules log. There were 5 trades in here, and these 4 levels were hit. Count them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 base hits, and the notes that explain everything. There's 20 points, and there's where we landed. Pretty good way to start the week. And over on the Sam's trades output, 1 trade at 567 on the short side. I pulled 12 points on 2 contracts and called it a day. So that's a wrap for today. Thanks for watching. I hope you found some value in today's video. Let's find out tomorrow if they're going to go higher. The bulls have a chance to get in gear and bounce and go higher. And if they don't, then they could be in trouble. We'll find out tomorrow most likely. Thanks. I'll talk to you in the next recap. Have a great day.